Hello everyone, welcome back to the video on goods and services tax. In the previous video, we had a brief discussion, an introductory discussion on the time of supply of goods. So as you know, time of supply can be classified into two in case of goods as well as in case of service. So we had a brief introductory video on the time of supply of goods last day. Today we will be discussing the rest of the portions related to the time of supply of goods, certain important provisions. The time of supply of goods in case of reverse charge mechanism is the first point of our discussion. So, I hope you remember about the concept of reverse charge mechanism, of which we learned in the first module. Okay, so reverse charge mechanism, how will be the time of supply determined? That is the point of discussion here. Okay. So, in case of supply where tax is paid on a reverse charge basis, then time of supply shall be the earliest of the following dates. So, whichever is earlier. So, we have three particular dates. Whichever is earlier will be the time of supply in case of reverse charge mechanism. Okay. So, the first one is date of receipt of goods. That is the date on which the recipient receives the good. Okay. Then second one, date of payment as entered in the books of account of the recipient, or the date on which payment is debited in his bank account, whichever is earlier. So either the date on which the payment is entered in the books of the recipient, or the date on which the payment is done. Okay. Whichever is earlier. So third case is date immediately following 30 days from the date of issue of invoice. So if the date of issue of invoice is today, that is 27th July 2020, 30 days from today. Okay, 30 days from today will be considered in the case of time of supply. So whichever is earlier of these three items will be considered as the time of supply in case of reverse charge mechanism. Okay. So the third case is date immediately following 30 days from the date of issue of invoice. Okay. So let me make it clear with the help of an example. And before that, if in some situation, if the time of supply is not possible to determine, in that case, it can be determined on the basis of date of entry in the books of recipient shall be the date of supply. So, in cases where the time of supply cannot be determined, the date of entry in the books of the recipient is the date of supply. Okay, well, that will be considered as a time of supply date. So let's see an example. In our example, date of receipt of goods is on 15th May. Date of payment is 15th July. Date of invoice is 1st June. Date of entry in books of receiver is 18th May 2018. Okay. So as per the provisions, what is the first case? First provision is date of receipt of goods. So date of receipt of good is 15th May 2018. Okay. I hope that point is clear to you. Then, second one is date of payment as entered in the books of account. So, date of payment as entered in the books of account, or the date on which payment is debited in the bank account. Okay, so that case is not mentioned here. And third one is date immediately following 30 days from the date of issue of invoice. So what is the date of issue of invoice? That is 1st June 2018. So 30 days after this, that will be 1st of July. Okay, 1st of July 2018. So whichever is earlier will be the time of supply in case of reverse charge mechanism. So can you guess what will be the time of supply? The time of supply will be 15th May 2018. So the earlier date is 15th May 2018. So that is 15th May 2018 will be the time of supply of goods. Okay. So suppose the time of supply we were unable to find out, or it was impossible us to determine the time of supply. In that case, what would have been the time of supply here, or the date of supply here? As per the provision, it will be the date of entry in the books of account of the recipient. Okay, so that is 18th May would have been the time of supply in that case. Okay, that is mentioned here. So TOS means it is time of supply. Okay, so I hope this example is clear for you, right? Then we'll go to another example also. Mr. A registered dealer, received goods from Mr. B, an unregistered dealer. So the supplier here is an unregistered person. So we can assume that this is a case of reverse charge mechanism. Okay. So Mr. B issues invoice on 1st July 2017. That is the date of issue of invoice. So now determine the time of supply of goods in the following case. The first case is Mr. A, that is the recipient, received goods on 15th July 2017, payment of which is not made yet. Okay. So earliest of the following, that is earliest of the three situations. First situation is date of receipt of goods. When does Mr. A received goods? 15th July 2017. Okay. Second situation is date of payment as entered in the books of account, or the date on which payment is done in his bank account. Is it given? No, because payment of which is not made yet. It is already mentioned in the question. So date of payment is not applicable here because it is not given. Then the third one is date immediately following 30 days from the date of issue of invoice. So when is the date of issue of invoice? That is 1st July 2017. So a date immediately following 30 days from the date of issue. That is the 31st day. What will be the 31st day? That will be 30th July 2017. Okay. So what will be the time of supply here? Earliest of the following, that is 15th July 2017 will be the time of supply here. Okay, I hope the concept of reverse charge mechanism and time of supply is clear for you. Okay, right. Then second part of the question, Mr. A received goods on 3rd August 2017. So that is the date of receipt of goods. Okay. And made payment for the same on 4th August 2017. So that is the date of payment. So let's see. First provision is date of receipt of goods, that is 3rd August 2017. Second one is date of payment as entered in the books of account. The date of payment is 4th August 2017. We assume that it is entered in the books of account. Okay. Third one is date immediately following 30 days from the date of issue of invoice. So when was the date of issue of invoice in the previous section or the first part of the question? That is 1st July, I guess. Okay. So 30 days from there. That is 30th July. So whichever is earlier. Which is the date? Yes, 3rd August 2017 will be, 30th July 2017 will be the time of supply. Okay, earliest of the following. So I hope this is clear for you, right? So that is with regards to time of supply under reverse charge mechanism. Okay. So now we will move to the next main provision under time of supply of goods and service. So we have been discussing about time of supply under goods. So we discussed the common rule. Then in today's video we started with the rule in case of reverse charge mechanism. And the third one we are going to deal with the supply of vouchers by a supplier. So what is a voucher, or for what is the purpose behind supply of voucher by a supplier? Okay, so in case of goods or services to be supplied in future, the particular goods are to be supplied in future. That is one case. Or the supply to be received from some other places. In these two cases, the particular supplier provides or issues a voucher to the recipient. Okay, so after the receipt of goods, that voucher can be redeemed, or that can be taken back by the supplier. So what will be the time of supply in case of supply of vouchers? So if that particular transaction involves a supply of voucher, what will be the time of supply? That is a point of discussion here. Okay, so I hope this voucher concept is clear for you. So in this case, what will be the time of supply? So here, in case of both goods and services, the time of supply will be determined more or less the same. Okay, the time of supply will be first one, date of issue of voucher. If the supply is identifiable at that point, that means at the point of issue of voucher. So when the supplier issues the voucher, at that point, if the supply is an identifiable one, so that means the supplier is issuing this particular voucher for this particular thing. Okay, to purchase this particular item or this to purchase a particular mobile phone. So if the supply can be identified at that point, in that case, the time of supply will be the date of issue of voucher. Okay. In all other cases, that is, if the supply cannot be identified at that point, what will be the time? It will be the date of redemption of voucher. So, whenever the voucher is redeemed or it is taken back by the supplier after the supply. Okay. So, keep in mind these two cases when supply is identifiable and when supply is not identifiable or in all other cases. So, according to this, we will determine the time of supply under supply of vouchers by supplier. Okay. So, I hope this concept is clear. So, it will be more clear when we go through an example. Okay. Let's try to solve an example. On 20th December 2017, Club Salon issues a haircut coupon. So here the haircut coupon will act as a voucher to Miss Radha. Miss Radha redeems the coupon on 2nd January 2018. So when is the date of issue of the voucher? That is 20th December 2017. Okay. Then, when it is redeemed, 2nd January 2018. Both the dates are given to us. So, how will we determine the time of supply? It is based on whether the supply is identifiable at the point of issue. So, when this was issued, it was issued as a haircut coupon to Miss Radha. So, is the supply identifiable at this point? If it is identifiable, then 20th December will be the time of supply. And if it is not identifiable, 2nd January will be the time of supply. So let's see. So time of supply through the vouchers is 20th December 2017 because when that club salon issued the voucher or the haircut coupon to Miss Radha, it is clear that that particular voucher or coupon is supplied for a particular service, that is for a particular haircut service. Okay, so that is identifiable there. So in case it is identifiable, then the date of issue of voucher will be the time of supply. Okay, so here we discuss about the time of supply of a service, haircut service or salon service. Then we look into another example. Suppose a cloth showroom sold a gift voucher to customer for 2000 rupees on 10th May. Customer can use gift voucher to purchase anything. Actual goods purchased by customer on 11th July for 2400 rupees. Customer redeemed voucher and paid balance 400 rupees. So in this case, we need to just focus on two dates. First date is date of issue of voucher. When was it? 10th May. Second date is date of redemption of voucher. When was it? On 11th? Yeah, on 11th June. Okay. So, comparing this, which is the time of supply? So, the point that we should remember here is whether the supply is identifiable. Is the supply identifiable? No, because the gift voucher was given by that particular cloth showroom to the customer to purchase anything. A specific thing is not mentioned. Okay, so if it was mentioned like the customer can use the gift voucher to purchase a shirt. If it was determined, if it was given like that, it would have been the date of issue of voucher. Okay, but in this case, that particular thing is not or the supply cannot be identifiable at the point of issue of invoice. So in this case, what will be the time of supply? It will be 11th June 2020. Okay. I hope the difference between these two provisions are clear to you. So we just need to make a note of these two dates and look for whether the supply is identifiable at that particular point. Okay. Then the third one is when the time of supply is impossible to determine. So in some cases, this is not with regard to reverse charge. When it comes to reverse charge, in case of reverse charge, it is if it is impossible to determine the time of supply, then date of entry in the books of account will be considered as the date of supply. That is for reverse charge mechanism. So here, in general case, time of supply when it is impossible to determine can be determined as follows or can be assumed as follows. Okay, so the first case is in case a periodic return has to be filed. Okay, so if that particular um, person needs to file a periodic return. So return is a document. It is in a document where the transactions are recorded. Okay, so periodic if a periodic return is to be filed, in that case, the date on which such return is to be filed will be the time of supply. And in any other case, the date on which the tax is paid is considered as the time of supply of service, time of supply of goods. Okay, so this is simple to understand. Just need to make sure that whether the periodic return has to be filed or not. If it has to be filed, the date on which such return is to be filed is the time of supply. In any other case, the date on which the tax is paid will be considered as the time of supply of goods. Okay. Then, then so the previous heading, that is the time of supply when it is impossible to determine, that heading is also known as residual case. Okay, so if you find a residual case in somewhere, so remember that it is in the case of supply when it is impossible to determine. So now we come to the last portion of time of supply of goods, that is in case of additional payment. Okay. So in respect of the additional payment for any value of supply like interest, then late fee or penalty for delayed payment, in these situations, the time of supply can be determined as the date on which the supplier receives additional payment. Okay, so the supplier supplies a particular good or a product to a person, that is the recipient. He receives the good and the supplier receives an additional payment in the form of interest or any penalty or any late fee. So in case of that additional payment, only for that additional payment, okay, in case of that additional payment, time of supply will be the date on which the supplier receives the additional payment of interest or late fee. Okay, let's see an example here. Raghu Motors repairs car of Mr. Ram on credit on 15th December 2017 for 15,000 rupees. Mr. Ram made the payment of 15,000 and 200 as interest on 20th February 2018. So here we discussed about the additional payment time of supply. So in this example, the additional payment is the interest payment done by Mr. Ram on 20th February 2018. So that is the additional payment. The above, that is the payment for the repairs. That is for the repair. That is for the service. Okay, that is for service. And here this interest is for the additional payment. Interest is equal to the additional payment. So what will be the time of supply? The date on which supplier receives the additional payment. So when does the supplier or Regu Motors receives the payment? That is on 20th February 2018. That will be the time of supply. Okay. So I hope these important provisions, we discussed the most important provisions in case of time of supply of goods, of which the provision related to supply of vouchers is common for both goods and both for goods and services. Okay, so go through the video once again, try to understand the concept, read out the examples and try to understand the examples and try to solve the questions by yourselves. Okay, thank you.